Welcome everyone back to another episode of Q&A with Sharon's son George. I was my mother's caregiver after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. Sadly, she passed on 1/1/2020, so we started together for Sharon.com in her memory and to advocate today for a cure for all those still battling PD and their families because no one is ever alone in this fight for a cure. Today's guest is somebody who I admire, and she just becoming public, but I think is definitely an advocate and doing some incredible things throughout the world to ensure that, like I agree, no one's alone in this fight. So I just want to welcome you, Angela. We've been friends for some time, so it's really, I love these shows because now we get to not just text, type, and kind of wave goodbye on Facebook or social media, but now we get to sit down and have a little conversation.
Right. Well, thank you for having me on.
Well, it's really going to be exciting. I hope everyone listening also kind of sits back, relax, get your popcorn, but join in, send questions, and feel free to send me any questions you might have for any guests. Maybe we could start if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah. Well, my name is Angela. I have been married for going on 18 years. We have two kids. Um, my husband, Brant, he is my support system through everything. He encourages me. He picks up where I slack off or lack just with everything that I've been going through over the years. He has been more of the rock within our family, which has been needed very much. And I know not everybody has that. So for him to be that for us, it's everything. Um, I've been a stay-at-home mom, working part-time jobs here and there, but ultimately, I mean, everything started spiraling early on in our marriage as far as my health went. And that really just squashed any type of working out of the home too much or really being able to do what I like to do within the home that so many other people take for granted. So,
Well, I appreciate you sharing that and being open. And one thing I want to point out is that you're just now, I believe, trying to become, more known and seen, and that's something I think is admirable. My mother was an incredible woman, but was definitely private. We didn't even know anyone who had Parkinson's in her 15-year battle, and I wish we did because today I would have I would have, I believe it would have been an incredible experience. Even though she was having tough time and did, knowing that people like you are out there and calling friends and knowing you're not alone means the world. So I think again what you're doing now and stepping up is really admirable. So thank you for that and for sharing your journey.
mhm.
I wanted to now kind of just share a few things. I know one of them is kind of getting just jump started, but before we get to that, you were able to be a speaker with a very good friend of mine. I call him almost best friend. It's Mark Millo. He was the host of the event, which I was excited. I remember you a few months ago, back in April. It goes so quickly, but for
Yeah.
a movie, Matter Over Mine, and I know you weren't the star, even though I think you should be. Maybe you could talk a little bit about your experience. How did they reach out to you, and what was that entire night like?
Well, so the matter of mind, my Parkinson's journey, someone had reached out through an email that they had heard that I might be a good candidate to be on the discussion board. Since we did have people of different ages, different, there was one other woman and a couple of men, just a group of us. Um, for me personally, it was my first speaking engagement at that time, and I was still on medication where I had a lot of dyskinesia. I was very stressed and I felt not out of place, but I felt like all I was doing was wiggling in my seat. But it was good to have people ask questions. It was good for us to be able to speak up about our personal journeys, because for me personally, it is going on. Let's see, my first motor symptoms were documented in a hospital on my right side when I was 21, and I just turned 45. And I've only been diagnosed for less than 2 years. So it's been a long, long journey with a lot of the motor stuff.
Do
Um,
you? Can you also tell us if anyone out there, likely they're aware, my mother had dystonia signs and dyskinesia, and
Mhm.
could just describe for those who aren't aware of it what those kind of symptoms might be. And again, you are allowed to say no. And this is
Yeah.
a fun show. I don't want you to kind of be, tough. I know it's tough, but I do think by us speaking and sharing this, somebody out there who feels alone and may not be sure of what they might be going through might now learn something new.
Yeah, so for me, the dystonia was primarily in my legs. I have videos that eventually I will be posting as I open up more and more about everything. But there's one where my big toe is sticking straight up in the air, and I try to push it down, it goes right back up.
Mm,
Or my right foot it feels like a cramp that you just can't work out. It's a process. It takes time. There's no rubbing it out. If you think about a Charlie horse, that you can rub out quickly. Well, sometimes quickly. But with dystonia, you can't. It takes time. And it's like the muscles are just gripping. For me, the dyskinesia was, I sent you the video last night, and I was trying hard not to let it take over. I would get what they call the belly dancing dyskinesia or the core dyskinesia along with my neck. So my neck would be swaying and doing things I had no control over. Um, and all of that. So the dystonia was prior to medication, but the dyskinesia started within 60 days of me starting carbidopa levodopa. Most people that start the medication, they usually get a year, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years without any type of dyskinesia. And mine came on quick and it came on strong. So I hope that.
Yeah, watching the video reminds me of my mother, and she had the same signs. And I remember, I wish again, that you can't regret things, but wish I knew the knowledge I have today, meeting so
Mhm.
many amazing, inspiring people like yourself. Because back then, we remember my mother's toes curling tremendously, and she also couldn't really lay in the bed 24/7. So it was a constant struggle. And people might not be aware with Parkinson's, it's not just, one symptom you concentrate on, try and isolate, but there's so many different ones. And it's
Right.
and then the medicines cause my mother, at least towards the last year, delusions, hallucinations, which don't happen to everyone on a different journey. But also, I remember how the constipation was something no one really talks about, but that kept her up 20, like all night. And we had to hire two aides 24/7 on top of me being there because I'm a male. Obviously, I can't be in the bathroom in certain kind of
Mhm.
areas of private. So it's so much more than just you have Parkinson's diagnosis and, good luck. There's a lot more integral things happening. And I think with you educating, initiative, advocating, and repeating, which we want to
Yes.
talk about in a minute, is really the key to all this. And I do hope everyone listening will share this and support Angela. And the first way to do that is to now, please, I hope it's okay to say, Angela, the unveiling in a way. If I had the drum roll machine,
Yes.
we would do that. But if you can go to Facebook, I'll share this too. Neuro to Bars. I wanted if you could touch on it, but I want to see 1 million followers eventually. It'll take us time, but as you know, we don't do this for anything but awareness. We don't accept money. We don't want any. We just want to cure, and I want to make sure everybody is aware of all these different symptoms and Parkinson's disease. I'm shocked still today. I know it only say only, but 1 million, I think more in the US and 10 million around the world. That if it affects your life or your family, that's 1 billion people to you. But we have to get those who aren't aware involved. So now, please again go to this beautiful page just created recently and click like. It takes 1 second. There's no fee, so there's no excuse. Everyone, please again support all that my incredible guest Angela is doing. Maybe you could touch a little bit on the name and how everyone can help support you and get involved.
Yes. So the name is Neuro to Bars because currently I am in this mix of several other people I know who they get diagnosed with Parkinson's, and it makes sense finally. But They're still missing pieces, or maybe they had a DAT scan like I did that came back positive. But honestly, even with that, you get that positive DAT scan, and there's a list of conditions it could actually be, depending on what your symptoms are. A lot of them overlap. Um, for me personally, back in my 30s, there was what they call bilateral basal ganglia calcification showing on my brain, and it was never investigated. I had already had a diagnosis of an essential tremor by then. That was at 35. I was treating my muscle stiffness and everything with muscle relaxers and different things over the years, since my 20s for that. But this calcification, through research and through diving for answers after my Parkinson's diagnosis, is how I found out that Barr's disease, or what they call Barr's disease, or bilateral basal ganglia calcification, can show up as a positive DAT scan. But the only way to really know if it's the calcification issue versus Parkinson's, it is considered a Parkinsonism currently, is you have to do a CT scan. A lot of doctors go for the MRI, but the CT scan is more confirmation on the calcification issues within the brain. So with that being said, I currently have both diagnoses, until we know through testing, genetic testing, exactly what it is. The one thing that I found, like on the Michael J. Fox website, is they did an article that talks about I think it's the supranuclear gaze, which works into the, what is it, PSP. It's another Parkinsonism. And this will come out hopefully in testing whether or not I have this, but with the bilateral calcification or Barr's disease, there are studies that with a gene mutation, those patients do have that gaze that is very common with PCP. But again, that's through research, diving for answers, and that is what part of my Facebook page is about, is educating people. Once you start knowing stuff is going on within your body, you need to find out as many answers as you can. And doctors don't have all the answers, or they are relying on us to even look stuff up ourselves to help them, because nobody's the same. And with that, from there, it is initiate. So you have to initiate a lifestyle, you have to initiate a treatment plan, you have to initiate things that are going to help you. And for me personally, over this last year, eliminating a lot of stress has helped. Outside stuff that no matter how much I want to help and do things for fun, it's what is needed for me and my body and my family. From there, it is advocating for yourself, advocating for somebody else, advocating for people online, and then repeating the process, because ultimately these diseases, they progress over time. You get new symptoms, you have to rework your treatment plan, you have to rework your lifestyle for what is needed in the moment.
Thanks. And I also want to share this event with Barrow Neurological Institute and Muhammad Ali Parkinson Center. So please go there and walk either with, maybe virtually. I'm not sure if they offer it, but on behalf of Angela too. And then I wanted to thank you. I know we did it recently, but you might recognize this beautiful person. If you go, everyone listening, to togetherforsharon.com, click interviews, completely free. I always say we don't want anything. Again, I always joke it's a 2025. I still have to keep saying that we don't, it's in 20, you should be able to do stuff and just help people and not have to be. Yeah. But anyway, we move forward positive. And again, you can see a lot more in depth with Angela. How to reach her journey, and a lot more incredible advocacy tools, as well as her battle end her fight in this disease, but really she's going to conquer it, I believe, and I'll be fighting by all of your sides until there's a cure at everyone's doorstep throughout the world. So again, I wanted to thank you for that interview. Wanted to shift now to some, I always say I want to shift to some fun, but I mean, everything when I'm with you is fun. So I wanted to, but I do again appreciate you joining us. It's really a pleasure to, some days I say I kind of book too many, but then meet people that inspire me like you, and no matter how hard my day is or what's going on, really keeps me and drives me to keep going. So thank you
Mhm.
again. Maybe you could start us by saying, telling us 3 words that describe who you are.
Oh,
That's the number two,
scatterbrained.
the number one answer.
um, yeah, easygoing at times. uh, that's a hard one.
You're allowed to pass if you
Okay, I'll have to pass on that because it depends on the day too.
no problem. And then this one's a new one for you because I know you're getting right now involved more. But is there
Mhm.
one moment or most memorable moment that stands out through most of your work with awareness that you could share?
Yeah, so it was when I did my first moving day walk, just meeting people there and seeing the variety of ages of people with Parkinson's. It's, a lot of people say it's a older person's disease, which granted, it is more common that way, but just meeting people on my first walk. So,
I love that. I'm on the committee here for the Parkinson's Foundation walk, so it's definitely a great experience. Virtual is amazing, social media is great, but being
mhm,
there live, even if it's just once a year, with so many individuals still battling, and in memory of my mother, it's always heartfelt and touching. We laugh, we cry together, and we keep fighting together. So thank you again for sharing
yeah.
that. You kind of mentioned this next area, but I always try to stop for a minute, literally stop. So let's just stop. Just kidding. And because you're now going to be the face of advocacy, and you bring up some important areas that I try to value, and also get rid of the misconceptions and how
Mhm.
important it is to express women's issues and young onset in the world today, because that's unfortunately growing every day. We even talk, even while we're talking, but I'd like to thank the people behind the scenes who aren't the face of all this. So I wanted to see who helps you during times of struggle. I know you mentioned them before, but we'll wanted to send our love and support to your family and all the support that you have. Maybe you could tell us again who helps you during times of struggle.
Yeah. So, I mean, since we moved out here to Arizona, it is primarily just my immediate family, my husband and my 2 kids. When we lived back in the Midwest, it was a handful of families. We had really close friends. We had um, my parents, my siblings, my husband's parents, and his siblings that would help out just in general with things. Jumping back to 12 years ago now, when I went through brain surgery for Chiari malformation, our kids had a 10-day vacation from us. My husband and I were up in Wisconsin for the surgery, and our kids were bouncing from friends to family. They had a great time. They were completely clueless because at the time they were 7 and 5. So
Well, I think you're not just I always say a warrior, but also I think a hero to so many. They just need to know that. And as you continue your advocacy, we support you 24/7. Anytime we can help, count on us. But I do think that you inspire me, but also so many out there who are going through similar things, not the same if everyone has different journeys, but such so important. And again, I'm so honored to call you a friend. Can you Maybe somebody listening, and likely they are, might have just been diagnosed with Parkinson's. What advice could you provide?
um, if they are thinking about treatment or going on the medication, which is it's a big decision, um, take a look at your entire world and figure out what is needed in your world and what isn't first. Um, And then as you go into treatment, based off of my experience, I was expecting a miracle. Don't set your, I guess, your hopes too high with the treatment just because of the side effects, and journal everything that you can. I'm terrible at it, but journal everything.
I I think it's a great point. When I wrote my first book about my mother, The Son's Journey, I literally kept a journal the last year of her life because I didn't know what the heck was going on. I didn't know how to ask someone for help or what to say. And I never dreamed I would write a book, but I thought I was shocked, and I always challenge everyone listening to prove me wrong. There isn't one book from a son who lost their mother due to Parkinson's in the world. And that kind of broke my heart, and I decided it's time. That's the only reason I do these. We don't, again, make anything from them. It's just for awareness, but it's so important. Journaling, I agree. And it's really a great outlet. Sometimes I even do it when I work, when I get angry, and then I throw it out. It's like, you never know. But next question's a fun one. I'm trying, but this is a new first time ever. Again, we need to ring a bell here. There's no bell.
Okay.
What would be, and also everyone listening, I always encourage you to send in questions and guests that you would like me to interview. But what would be the theme song of your life story if you could pick a song in the world?
Okay, so I know I sent you the Time Stand Still by Rush. That's my current song, like for what I want. But honestly, it's a small world from the Disney ride.
That's a good one.
I love that ride at Disney or Disneyland, and just the words. It's a world of laughter and a world of tears, a world of hope and a world of fears. There's so much we can share if we, what is it? Oh, I can't even think of the words now.
Good. I can't
If
get
we
all
make
that.
it aware, it's a small world after all. It may sound completely silly, but I
No,
love that song.
I was going to ask to see if you could sing it, but I was just joking. And now you actually
Yeah.
did. Thanks. And then also, we didn't touch a lot on sports and exercise, which we need to. But I was wondering if there's a sport you'd like to try that might help slow the progression of Parkinson's. What would that be? That's another. I just hit you with two brand new questions.
Well, I sent you that little tidbit about I was going to join that pickleball team this year with some friends of mine that have Parkinson's, but I wasn't old enough.
Oh.
So they said I couldn't join. I tried to fill out the form and they said, nope, too young. Um, Honestly, I would like to get a younger group of Parkinson's patients together for pickleball and just have our own team for the young onset group.
I like that.
So,
That's a big thing now growing around the world for positive to slow the progression through pickleball. I keep
mhm.
meeting and having, we had a few rock climbers with Parkinson's. I'm like, I can't even do that. And I mean, I have a boot on right now anyway, but it's amazing that, it's just incredible. No matter the fight or the, diagnosis, people are out there doing these things. And that's why I always encourage everyone not to stay home. I know some days it's hard. My mother had a struggle. We put a gym in her house and she did try to use it, but didn't do it as intense as I would have liked if we had known, today the research 10 years later. So we both, I
Mhm.
think, Angela will agree, encourage everyone out there to get involved with sports. And the great thing with sports is if you don't like one, there's so many others to try. And
Correct.
also there's new ones forming every day. Uh,
Yep.
who's your hero and inspiration?
Hmm. I am actually my own hero.
I love that one. That's a new one.
Yeah. It's just through what I've gone through in life over the years, from when I was a child to now. I'm my own hero.
Hope you
I
could
have
leave
to be.
leave a little space because I want to join that too for you.
Okay. Yes.
And then just as we wrap up again, it's such an honor to have you today. And again, I always ask everyone to please share this again. This conversation really can end after we shut the show. When the lights, cameras, and paparazzi leave, this has to continue because until there's a cure, this cannot stop, and we can't. We have to keep doing this. So, if you were asked to write a script to a movie about your life story, what would you call it, and what actress would play your role?
Ah,
I leave the tough ones for the end.
I would say,
We have hard-hitting news questions here.
yeah.
I used to work as a
So,
prosecutor, so these are more fun than the ones I used to.
yeah. So it would be called, the movie would be called One Tear at a Time, like one tear, just because of everything, but I would want Sandra Bullock to play me.
That's a good one. I love when we have new ones. Every guy, for some reason, no offense to the gentleman, but been getting a lot of Denzel. So
Yeah.
time for a change. And then just to wrap up, if you could leave the Parkinson's community today with some words of encouragement, what would they be? And while you're thinking of that, I do want to again ask everyone to please go to Facebook. You can find Angela there. You can also subscribe for free to Neuro Tafars FAHRS, and I'll put all this in the show notes so you can find it for your own convenience. But again, to wrap up, if you could leave the Parkinson's community today with some words of encouragement, what would they be?
Um, our brains are a masterpiece, and we have to fight for them, and we have to do the research. We have to find the cures for all of these things that go on, um, and have fun. I mean, laugh through the process, because what else are we going to do as we change? We have to laugh. So
I appreciate it and agree. And it's hard sometimes to remember the better times with my mother because Parkinson's kind of took over. But I remember one beautiful thing my wife did, which I would never have thought of, but my mother had us tough last year with Parkinson's, her battle, which I've written about. But my wife brought in anytime she could, pedicures, manicures, hair, because no matter what Parkinson did, we just wanted her to smile, even just for a few moments. And those are the memories that can never take from any of us. So again, I'm really grateful for your time and really you're kind of stepping up and really advocating for yourself, but also for so many. It's really been a pleasure and honor, and I hope we can continue to fight side by side until the cure is at everyone's doorsteps around the world.
yep. Thank you.
I have a little message for you, Angela, and everyone listening. We love you. We support you. We care a lot about you, and you're never alone. I, along with Angela and all of you, I hope will advocate, and together our voices are so much stronger. I always end with them just getting started because obviously, unfortunately, in a way, I've been doing this for 5 years. The show's only been a year, but every time I kind of think it's too much or things are going on outside of the Parkinson's world, I think of my mother and realize there are so many people still like Angela out there inspiring us to keep fighting. So, no matter what, whether it's right from anesthesia at the hospital, I'll still be fighting for a cure. And again, I know Angela will also be right by my side. So thank you, Angela, and thank you everyone for listening. This has been another episode of Q&A with Sharon, son, George. Please share this. Please stay tuned and please support all that Angela does. And hope she won't forgive me when she's famous. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, I won't. Love you.
Thanks.